Today on Better Book Clubs, join us for our next big read, Vanity Fair. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that last winter, my husband and I and two friends undertook a reading of David Foster Wallace's big novel, Infinite Jest. So we're about to start another big read together this fall, which is William Thackeray's Vanity Fair. Thackeray is a contemporary of Charles Dickens, and this is a book that, although it's really well known, it's generally not taught in high school and even college literature courses, probably partly because it's so long. My copy logs in at 809 pages, but we think it's going to be a really interesting and fun read. So again, we're going to be posting videos every 100 pages and just having a conversation about what we're thinking of the book so far. Part of what we're doing when we post these conversations is kind of giving you a window into how we talk about books. And we're kind of putting ourselves out there a little bit because we're talking about a book that we've never read before. So you'll find if you go back and take a look at our series of Infinite Jest videos that we went down a lot of dead ends in predicting what we thought was going to happen. We made a lot of observations that maybe didn't really come to fruition, but we also had a really good time reading, and we did have some really great conversations about parts of that book that we found really interesting and thematically relevant to what's going on in our culture today. So even though Vanity Fair was written in the mid-19th century, maybe we'll see some of those same kinds of connections today, or maybe we'll just have some fun with this entertaining story by Thackeray. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of background in Vanity Fair today, and then I hope you will join us, whether you are watching this video as it's released and kind of reading along in real time with us, or whether you're coming to it in the future and we're already done with our reading. You're welcome still to kind of play along and respond in the comments, because I do go back and keep track of all of the comments on my videos, and it will be really fun to talk about this book with you. So let me give you a little bit of background into the author, William Makepeace Thackeray, and into the novel itself, Vanity Fair. So Thackeray was born in 1811 in Calcutta and then sent at the age of 6 back to London, where his family was from, to be educated. As an adult, he settled in Paris, first trying to pursue a career as an artist. And he actually drew the illustrations for the first edition of Vanity Fair himself, although they weren't considered to be very good. There's one of them in the edition that I'm reading. It's the title page, really, in which the subtitle of the novel, A Novel Without a Hero, is included, and the figure is looking in a cracked mirror, which is kind of an interesting image. And so we'll be talking about that, I think, as we get started on the novel itself. When Thackeray found he was not able to get his career as an artist going, he became a journalist instead, and in particular was known for writing satire. He was married in 1836, and then he and his wife Isabella moved back to London, and that's where most of his career as a writer took place. The marriage ultimately did not work out, in the sense that Isabella had a nervous breakdown and never really recovered. And so Thackeray was kind of on his own after that time. She was being cared for out in the country by some friends. He was a contemporary of Charles Dickens, and he certainly felt a rivalry with Dickens. He thought Dickens was a little bit too sentimental. Maybe his language was a little bit too descriptive and flowery. Vanity Fair was originally serialized, so written in, published bit by bit from 1847 to 1848, much as some of Charles Dickens' novels were. And then the full novel came out in 1848, and it was quite successful. It was Thackeray's most successful work. It's known as a work of satire, and the title, Vanity Fair, comes from a setting in John Bunyan's famous 17th century novel, one of the first novels, called Pilgrim's Progress. And in that, the pilgrims come to a town called Vanity, where there's this corrupt, sinful fair going on. One of the pilgrims is actually, well, they're actually arrested because they aren't going along with all of the horrible things that are happening at this fair. And ultimately, one of them is tried and convicted and sentenced to death and martyred. He's burned at the stake, and then the other pilgrim named Christian goes on his journey. So Vanity Fair is quite a strong reference to Bunyan's work, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that as well, why Thackeray chose that title. You probably also know Vanity Fair is the title of a popular magazine that is published still today, and it's kind of interesting because I'm not sure how ironic that title is. The magazine never seems to refer to the potential irony there, but that's kind of an interesting popular culture reference that we have. A movie was also made of Vanity Fair back in 2004 with the actress Reese Witherspoon playing the lead character, Becky Sharp. And so we're looking forward to going back and watching that movie after we read the novel. When it was first published in 1847 to 48, Vanity Fair was pretty well received by a lot of the critics. Charlotte Bronte, who's the author of Jane Eyre, was one of those who really loved Thackeray's work. She called him a titan and the legitimate high priest of truth. Of course, not all contemporary reviewers agreed with her thinking, but the novel in general was pretty well received. Thackeray did feel that he was trying to take on the truth in his satire. He wrote that, quote, "Under the mask satirical, there walks about a sentimental gentleman who means not unkindly to any mortal person." So he didn't mean, apparently, for his satire to be taken too deeply or to offend anyone too badly. But at the same time, he was really taking on some big issues. And so I'm sure we'll also, in the process of talking about the novel, talk about some of those satirical jabs that he's taking at mid-19th century Victorian English culture. So again, I hope you'll join us for our read of Thackeray's Vanity Fair and watch for our first video, which will come out as soon as we hit 100 pages.